Yo, we're back and we're actually doing this thing remote, not in studio today. I'm your host, Trevon Edwards, joined by. Oh, it's on you, Mike.
Oh,
Can you hear me? We
sorry,
live.
my bad, guys.
That's all
My
good.
bad. That's good. Wow, like I'm making it seem like this is the first time I've done a live thing. I just got done doing a live show. What's going on? I'm like, I was waiting for you to say my name, and then the YouTube started playing. That's good. Beautiful, smooth start. This is what I was looking for.
Yeah. All good, man. We got some new crowd, we got some old crowd, we got some people from the YouTube. And if you aren't subscribed to our YouTube, make sure you like, comment, and tell a friend to tell a friend on Count the Dings YouTube channel. Again, man, it's been a crazy NBA. This weekend feels like a year. You know what I mean? Like I don't even know how to even explain it, Mike.
This is the most I've been on social media. It's probably the most podcasts I've consumed in a short amount of time. It's fun though. I'm enjoying it. We had stuff happen that we kind of thought was going to happen, and then of course the Luka thing, which I did not see happening. Just wild weekend.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, when you really think about it, no one had this just pretty much like this trade. No one even knew Luka Doncic was available. You know what I mean? Like, and we're gonna jump into this because I don't want to even just ignore the whole rundown that we got going. But shout outs to the chat. This is the first time we've actually got live feedback immediately as we talk about these things. And the first topic I wanted to talk about was the All-Star snubs, man. So I'm going to list off a few and you let me know if there's an actual snub or, they weren't good enough to make it. So for the East, we have Trey Young, LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Maxey, and Tyrese Halliburton.
Man, I was kind of fine with the East. I'll be honest. I feel bad for Trey. I feel like Trey's done enough to get in there. But, I mean, I don't know. Hero's numbers were crazy. Miami's playing a little bit better than Atlanta. Like, I was fine with Tyler Hero making it. So none of those really stood out. Like, LaMelo's numbers were also bonkers. I know we had talked about it on the show a couple weeks ago. But, like, I mean, it's hard to reward, I think, Charlotte. Actually, let me ask you this. Do you, like, how much of team success do you like factor in when you're thinking about an all-star?
Let's just clear it here. And now this might not be the best take because everybody loves to stick to the numbers and we love to stick to the numbers sometimes, but I'm going to contradict myself and say this is the all-star game. The fans vote for who they want to see in the all-star game. And plus, it's not like it's a troll vote. You know what I mean? Like we've seen troll votes, the Zaza Pachulias and other guys that are in the mix that shouldn't even be on the ballot. But LaMelo Ball's averaging 28 points per game. I understand that they haven't won any games. It's not a team thing. This is a single individual thing. So if we're highlighting the individual play, whether the stats are empty or not, LaMelo Ball should be starting in the All-Star game.
Yeah, and I think too, like the NBA has to decide if this game matters or not, like I don't know. We're both taking it as like a fun event, and then seriously at the same time, where we're like, oh, let's have fans weigh in, but also the coaches have final decisions. Like, why? Pick a lane here. So yeah, I'm with you for that. And LaMelo's fun. His game translates. I'm not rooting for any real injuries. So let me say that first. But I wouldn't mind if someone had like a little hammy that they need to rest for a couple days, so we get LaMelo in there or get Maxey in there just to get more names. No, it's how Mike Conley finally got his all-star appearance, so rooting for some of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only one I really felt like him and Trey. I think Trey Young was just playing really well this year, but there's not enough spots. Everybody can't make it. The deal's done. It is what it is. And you just got to kind of roll with that. But, respect to the people that actually made it, the first time All-Stars as well. Let's talk about the West. Domantas Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox. We'll talk about him a little later. Kyrie Irving, Norman Powell. we were starting the
Got him
Norman
hurt.
Powell campaign. I thought he was going to actually get a shot, and then Devin Booker, which was
Yeah.
also another shock that I thought would actually kind of get in. But off the West, I thought Norman Powell deserved a shot. Domantas Sabonis is one of those guys that's always looking in from the outside, who has like great numbers, but just doesn't get it. And then Devin Booker, I thought would get in, as a consecutive guy.
I
But
mean, if you want to make the case, I mean, LaMelo's different because he was leading the vote getting. Sabonis is the same thing as LaMelo. Like, he puts up insane numbers. He's like Jokic light out there,
Mhm.
just putting up crazy numbers. Like, what else? I don't know what he could do to make the All-Star team, except for the Kings be like a top 3 seed or whatever. But the West is just so deep. I was surprised Harden made it over Norm. I know Harden's had a great year,
I
but
said the
Norm.
same thing. I love James Harden. I think that James, like we said this, few episodes ago. Like, James Harden has the best shoes. He's playing better. He's got
Mhm.
himself in great shape. He's become the leader of the Clippers while Kawhi has been absent, and he's been playing well. But again, from a consistent standpoint, I just felt like when you think about the upside and the jump, Norman Powell is just right there.
Yeah.
And, I don't, not saying that Norman Powell won't have another year like that, but it's discouraging. It reminds me of those Monte Ellis's, the CJ McCollum years, where
Mhm.
guys are playing extremely well and they'll never see the light of day of All-Star weekend.
Yeah, I think those are great comps. And I mean, the Clippers would not be in the situation in the standings
Hmm.
right now if it weren't for Norm. Like, Harden's going to get his numbers regardless, like, because that
Yeah.
of the style he plays. But like Norm and Zubac, both of those, and honestly,
Zubac
Zubac
too.
he had a
I think,
case. I mean, he's been
yeah,
awesome.
he made a case, but I just think the front court was just a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, it's hard when you have
So
Jokic and Wemby and all those guys and that you're
And
battling
the
with.
only reason why I really was kind of pushing, because Golden State wasn't playing well, and also Kawhi was out for such
Mhm.
a huge time, to open up that spot as a front court guy for potentially Norman Powell. But
Yeah,
I mean, speaking of All-Star, San Francisco, are you heading out?
I don't think I'm going to be there this year. I
Okay.
don't. I think that. Are you going?
I think I'm gonna be there. I'm
There
gonna
you
be there.
go. There you
And I'm
go.
great. I'm gonna share some news. So eventually, I'll be there, and it's
Okay.
gonna be exciting. But San Francisco, great people, great food. I think a lot of brands gonna have some great activations there. Let's talk about the actual All-Star weekend though, and the All-Star format ideas. Like, are you um excited about any of this, like the dunk contest, um, you
No,
know, uh, the 3-point contest? You've seen Caitlin Clark decline, versus Steph and Sabrina, you know what I mean, in that
yeah.
scenario.
Yeah, I do think it's funny that we're like, man, I hope Caitlin Clark does a 3-point contest so people get excited about the NBA All-Star weekend. Like, I do think that's funny. Not that, I mean, I would obviously be excited about that, but yeah, I don't know, man. I'm like bummed out with the dunk contest that like Mac McClung's still doing it. I think it's important for the NBA to have NBA players doing the dunk contest, like
Hmm.
I think that matters. But I think I'm more not looking forward to the conversation around the All-Star game itself. I think I'm like done with oh, it's broken. We gotta fix it. We gotta like I think I'm just tired of it, and I want it to be fun, and I don't want us to talk about ratings and stuff like that around it. I'm kind of intrigued by the new like 4-team format. I think that's interesting. Um but we'll see. I have a feeling that the sentiment coming out of it will be similar to what it's been like every year for the last like few years. It's like, it's broken. We got to fix this. They don't care about the game. That kind of combo.
Yeah. So joining us, we have Steve Jones Jr. What's going on, brother?
So, Steve,
You are
What's up?
you
Good
are
morning.
you are our first guest on
it's
Hoop
huge.
Sense
Oh,
ever. So
This-
we got to keep the sense going, and who else to have on the show than yourself. I respect your opinions and your approach towards the game.
no, I appreciate it. And I did not know I was making history, so I'm hyped. So I got to live up to it real quick. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So as we were back in the green room listening, we're talking about All-Star game format ideas. And Michael Grady had a great idea about that fourth team actually being the snubs. What do you think about that?
I don't mind that one. I don't mind that one at all. But I guess how would they be selected? And it's just like, hey, y'all were all stars, but y'all actually weren't all stars. So can y'all go to All Star Weekend? So I like the idea. I guess my mind is going to, what's that phone call look like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
I mean, I think the thing is too, obviously some pride in there and a little bit in the mix, but like maybe you battle out that last spot of why you're deserving. You know what I mean? You know, like, and we add a little, reality TV into the mix and a little spice into it because NBA is entertainment anyway. But like, if you actually, whoever's the MVP of those four, that should get a shot.
I hadn't really thought of this until Steve, you just said that about the phone call. It does that like reminds me of, like high school basketball where they like post the list outside. And it's like, okay, you didn't make varsity, but you're JV. You did make the JV team though. And that is what that call kind of feels like. Like you can hang.
But imagine you call Norm Powell and it's like, hey, did you already book your vacation? Like, if not, do you want to come to? No, you don't. Okay.
I think actually what they should do is kind of before they're getting ready to announce. You know what I mean? Like, or at the same time, hey, this is an option. You know what I mean? You could decline or you can accept, and have that list or just a pool. Maybe it's a snub pool. You know what I mean? And they go from there. And
maybe they expand the rosters.
Yeah, because like
That's
if you go there, like the snub pool is like, you like getting the last kid getting picked on the thing, and they actually, but it would be spicy. That's the thing. Like now you're leaving it up to the team captains to say, hey, all right, I want these guys to play, and that would be crazy. A snub pool would be amazing. I'm with that.
They're counting on them young dudes to try very hard and make this very interesting.
Yes, absolutely. We had, like we mentioned before at the top of the show, we had a very busy NBA trade scenario. Who was the winners and the losers of this thing. I know the big conversation, which I woke up this morning, I started probably like 6:30 in the morning, talking about Lakers getting Luka Doncic and the Mavs getting Anthony Davis. What was your reaction to that, Mike, when it first happened?
I mean, like everybody else, I think I fired off a couple of tweets joking about, I was like, oh, I know this is a hack because it didn't include a Canva graphic saying breaking news. Like, that's how I know if something's real, is when the graphics involved. Or I think I said this had everything except a selling of an Xbox or a PlayStation. I feel like that's usually involved in hack tweets. I still can't believe it. I still listening to the press conferences. I feel like I'm getting more information, but understanding it just like a little bit less every time. I think if they just boiled it down and said, hey, we actually think Anthony Davis helps our team both short-term and long-term more than Luka, I still wouldn't agree with it, but at least they just kind of said it. Yeah. Man, I don't know. I'm still wrapping my head around it. And I would not want to be in the Dallas front office. I guess that hot seat is just like, that's fire right now. Like I feel like you got to, like, they just went to the finals. Like that, the ceiling was the finals, and Mike, now they got to do that. Like, that's crazy.
Mike, I'm gonna walk you back down a little bit. Steve, what was your thoughts on it when it first happened?
I was shocked. I was stunned, and I kind of kept reading the quotes, and I was trying to make sense of it. And every time I thought I made sense of it, I had another question. So I just been like an Ebola, I don't know. And so I think one of the things I thought of was, okay, I think I understand the Anthony Davis fit in Dallas. I think there's some basketball things that are pretty intriguing here. I don't think Dallas becomes terrible. I think the issue is you inevitably, as you think about this, run back into the context that this is the return, like not just for any player, like this is the return for Luka Doncic. So it's like, well, there's that part too. So I think I've been trying to separate them, but you can't, because we don't get superstar deals like this that come out of nowhere that no one saw coming. We see the buildup, we get the leaks, the this is why they did it, all that. We went in reverse this time. And so it's like, okay, the Lakers actually have Luka. Like, I haven't even processed that part. And so I saw Luka put up the LA symbol. I was like, oh, right. He playing with LeBron.
So now that it's been like 48 hours and it's a little sobering and all those things, I wanted to chat a little bit about it. And this is what I woke up on my mind, right? And everybody's just like going so hard on Nico Harrison. And you know, Steve, like it's a hard job to be a general manager in the NBA in itself. And you have to make decisions that people won't understand until things play out. And sometimes it works out and then sometimes it doesn't. And it's like, how do you trade a 25-year-old Luka Doncic? Well, this is why you change it. I mean, you trade him, right? You think about this team, as Mike mentioned, going to the finals, right? And you say, okay, they got ran off the floor by this Boston Celtics team, right? And they also took advantage of Luka Doncic on defense. And you also think about, not saying that they wouldn't be in that position if they didn't have Luka Doncic, right? They had to have all these things where you check out. But when you think about, is there a possible accountability in those things when you have your star player that you're potentially going to pay $375 million to, who is a guaranteed 30 points per game player, right? But he's not showing up in the shape prepared to look like he's focused, to locked in to actually complete the job. He's not. If you got a Kyrie Irving on your roster, you got other guys that have championship experience or that are looking for a leader. If my leader isn't locked in as such as I need, and this is the cornerstone of my franchise, how do I go forward for this, right? So when you look at a Nico Harrison, right, you traded for Kyrie Irving, who has championship experience, right? You signed Klay Thompson, who was a part of a dynasty. You now trade for Anthony Davis, who was also part of a championship team and a first team guy on both ends of the floor. Now, if they say defense wins championships and they're putting emphasis on this, that is the target. But again, we're still yelling, how do you trade Luka Doncic at 25? And this is the gamble. But the window is 3 to 4 years with this group, right? And they're putting emphasis on defense first. And I think the Lakers make this move, obviously. Nobody ever mentioned this part, is that I think they screwed LeBron over in this situation. Most people are seeing LeBron as, hey, you get a chance to win 5, right? But I think they got their power back. They're back in the driver's seat. They're back in the driver's seat now. They get a chance to say, okay, we control our future. We're no longer moving off of that. Yes, we got you a player that can win now, but we are looking for, how do the Lakers operate beyond LeBron?
Interesting. I guess I give LeBron credit for knowing he's 40. I would like to think like that he's just like, I don't have a lot of runway left to do basketball.
It sounds good though, Mike. It sounds good. But this is a person who's never had to give up the keys to the car.
Sure. Yeah.
But also, he's also played with other stars and still did not have to give up the keys.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think about, I am also 40 and I love giving up the keys. Like, but
you're also not LeBron James.
Nah, well,
other stars in the past have had to give up the keys forcefully.
Sure.
This is one person who has had the keys and still has the keys in his front pocket as long as he wants. But in this particular situation, I think the good thing about Luka ending up in this situation is his fate is in his own hands. He's with the most durable player in NBA history. Sure. And then also, you know what I mean? You're in a situation where, you know, if you want to play with LeBron, you cannot drag your feet. You have to play defense. Both of you guys can't be pointing at the role player, guys. You know what I mean? Because you're 25 years old. That's LeBron. LeBron gets a pass. I'm sorry. He gets a pass. He's 40.
Yeah.
He's going to miss some defensive assignments. Fine. But Luka, at 25, you got to move them puppies. And that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, even you said a lot of stuff that makes sense.
Hoop sense.
And I'm just like, I can't believe it. I just don't. This is the ultimate Nico heat check, I feel like. Right? Like the way he constructed this team, again, that just went to the finals. I mean, just went to the finals. We were doing a segment last week where we were looking at the Western Conference and like OKC, clearly the number 1 seed. Mm-hmm. And then we're like, who are like the scariest opponents? And it's like, well, Denver's got the best player, arguably the best player in the world right now. Clippers, like sneaky good with Kawhi now coming back, a little dangerous. And then it was Dallas. Dallas was the other one. Like, congrats, OKC. You won 70 games. Dallas had injury issues all season long. You get to play them in the first round. And OKC would not love that. They wouldn't admit that, but that's not what you get the number 1 seed for. And now I don't know if I still have that same fear of that Dallas team with Anthony Davis. I mean, it's a lot of and I get this is going to sound way more disrespectful than I mean it. It's a lot of number 2s having to figure out who's going to do the number 1 job. It's like a team of Batman, Robins. It's a team. It's like you got Clay, you got Kyrie, you got Anthony Davis. I just again, on paper it makes sense. They're going to play a good defense. I don't know, man. I like having a guy that can score 30 points.
Would you say Anthony Davis is up there though?
Yeah, I don't.
He just had 40 and 20. I don't know what else to. This is Anthony Davis, dog. Like I get it, but Luka Doncic, respectfully, is that good to a point where we looking at Anthony Davis as, Charles Smith or some shit.
No,
and that's not even a dig at Charles Smith, but you get what I'm saying? Like they did not get a true return. This man is 31 years old, first team offense, first team defense. Like I just and he's not expected to do it by himself. This is all I'm asking. Like they're surrounded by role players, literal role players, and they actually have. We didn't even talk about the Tim Hardaway trade exception, which is like 16 mil. You know what I mean? I'm in your bag, Steve, right now. We ain't talk about the trade kicker that AD just gave them. You know what I'm saying? And then the picks. Yeah. Do they flirt with a Jimmy Butler? Does our eyes perk up a little bit more if they make a big ass move like that? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Maybe they make another move. Yeah.
I think if you're looking at Dallas, and again, it's the return for Luka Doncic, so I understand. Any Dallas fan don't want to hear it, I understand. But that Dallas team without Luka beat OKC. Mm-hmm. And so you know who doesn't want to play the 5? Anthony Davis. You know who won't have to play the 5 in Dallas? Anthony Davis. So, in theory, you got the wings that can play defense and guard multiple positions. PJ Washington, people say he's a 3, 4. I understand the debate. A lot of people didn't expect him to guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander once he got traded to Dallas. He started to do that. So you got Clay, you got PJ, you got Najee Marshall, you got Quentin Grimes, you got a bunch of wings. You can go small, you can go big, you can do different things. You are going to have to retool it because you don't have the offensive topper anymore. You don't have the person that can make a defense bend at any time. Post up, pick and roll, any of that. You don't have that anymore. So offensively, you are going to have to get creative. You can get it to 80 in the post, Kyrie and 80 in pick and roll. You can still space the floor. Now, I guess it's like how many ways can you get a team in rotation? And now, because those guys, you built this system around Luka. You finally got the people that can knock down threes, drive closeouts, play defense. We good. Now, are you going to have to create more with them? Is Clay going to have to be used more in movement? Quentin Grimes, PJ, are you have to use these guys a little bit more, elevate them. Kyrie going to have to be used in a different way. What does that look like? So I guess it's just the retooling of what they try and do offensively. But in theory, defense has always been the thing that elevates them. I think the thing is now they have to nail it to such a high degree.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they don't have that wiggle room no more. Before, it was like, oh, dang, Dallas is playing defense. Plus, they have Luka. Da-da-da-da. Now it's, hey, man, if y'all aren't playing defense,
yeah, you're going to be
interesting.
You're going to be the Pistons. You're going to be like early 2000 Pistons.
That's the thing. It's just kind of like they have to help Nico. You know what I mean? In this scenario, like, hey, we got to believe who we selling. You know what I mean? Like, we're selling to this client. Like, hey, we're going to be this defensive team, and we need to be the best. And this is how we're going to do this. I made all these moves in order to do all this other stuff. Jay Kidd coached Anthony Davis with the 2020 Lakers as an assistant coach. They have a relationship there. You know, Kyrie finally gets out of the corner. He doesn't have to stand there and be a corner boy anymore. He gets to look, you know, all that other stuff. And then again, the leverage of what are they going to do with those picks and all that trade exception and stuff like that. And I don't think that they're, with all the heat that they're getting and they're treating the trade like a memorial. I seen the Dirk statue all graffitied up and all that other stuff. Like, it is, you know, I do think that they're going to gamble and make a big splash. It don't even have to be a Jimmy Butler type player, but I think that they go get somebody. I would go get CJ McCollum. Fuck it.
I mean, CJ would work in that sense, right?
Go get him.
Yeah.
Go get him, because that's buckets. Go get him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Bucket. That is a bucket.
That's a bucket, by the way. I don't want to spend too much time on this because we could talk about this and this could be a whole episode in itself. But again, what grade are we giving this trade?
Oh, man.
For the Mavs?
I still don't like it. I feel like the ceiling is lower. I'll give it, but they did get Anthony Davis, and I don't want to be the guy that just disrespected Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis is awesome. C. I'm going to give it a C.
I was gonna say, you ever seen someone in college not go to the class except for the test?
Wow.
They still get a C.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody asked how they did it, but they passed. We'll see.
I'm gonna give them a B plus.
Okay.
Ooh.
I'm gonna give them a B plus. And I want to be, I guess, look, I'm either look like a fool at the end of the year or I'm gonna look like a smart ass. So I like what the defense. I'm looking always into the logic of things. So I'm trying to make hoop sense of this. But yes, B plus.
Can I ask, like, what do you think success looks like for this deal for Dallas? Like, what if they get to the second round? Because, like, right now, by the way, like, they are, I think, the 9 seed, like, in there, or right? I think they're the 9 seed or the right. They're still like a few games behind the Lake. I think they're 3 games behind the Lakers to get out of like the top 6. I mean, the play-in. Like, what does success look like?
Success is Western Conference Finals.
Okay.
Especially how they started this year.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Because if they were on the positive side, they didn't get hurt or all that other stuff, I think Luka would still be in uniform.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So, like, to start how they are, Kyrie missed some games, Derek Lively out, Luka being out. It's, now we're turning water into wine. Let's be realistic about this. So if they actually go do some joints and they make it to the Western Conference Finals, I think that's a positive start. I don't think you make a move like this right now and they go win it all. It's very rare outside of the Detroit Pistons when they got Rasheed Wallace that you just acquire somebody and you're just like, all right, we about to roll through everybody. Yeah. It's just not doing all that. So I think if they make it to the Western Conference Finals, it's a success. If they make it to the second round, I'm still not beating Nico up because that group has to play a little bit more together. They're gonna have to do it. It's just you got to give them that breathing room. But like let's talk about the Lakers. What do you give the Lakers on this trade?
You can go first, Steve.
A plus. I mean,
I think it's across the board. I think it's across the board from the Lakers being laughable in the past 2 trade deadlines. This is the biggest splash of Rob Pelinka's life. You know what I mean? Outside of signing Kobe Bryant as an agent. But realistically, no one knew. No one knew. They were talking about fire him. The fans were going ballistic. They were on Jeannie Buss's ass for having a fucking cover of her book being or whatever. You know what I mean? And like now, all of a sudden, it's, AD's trash. He was always hurt. You know what I mean? Like, it's fickle. I understand. But Luka Doncic gaining him on paper, it puts you in contention if you feel. I still think that they're, a few players away, but I do, and also the expectations of we are working off hope. We're hoping that LeBron at 40 continues to play the dominant way he just displayed in New York, in Madison Square Garden, that he continues, that he stays healthy. Knock on wood. I want it all to go great. But then they have Jackson Hayes at home, who, they may get cheap and say, we're not going to go spin and go get a Clint Capella or whoever else, a lob catching.
Oh, they gotta.
Brett. They have to. But again, you never know, Mike. You never know with these things. They could say, we're fine as is. Rob, I gave y'all Luka, now get out my face.
Yeah. I mean, A plus. The Lakers got the freaking 3rd best player in the league at 25. It just, I don't know how I don't understand. I think it's great for them. And
as a Celtics fan, you should understand it a lot.
I know. I mean, I get it.
They've been getting rich. They've been getting rich. They've been getting rich since we've both been alive, all 3 of us. It's not like we've never seen them ever get rich. They've had in our lifetime Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, LeBron James.
Oh, I know. And the biggest difference for me between the two,
And they
like
got Luka.
if the Lakers like flame out here in the first round, it's like, well, dude, we got Luka, man. We'll start building around Luka. We'll do the same
And
thing
how
they did.
fair is that? Like,
Well, hey, what? No, it is fair. They made the deal. They agreed to it. No,
That's
it
fair.
wasn't a third party that came in and said it. No, Nico was like, "Let me cook. I got this." So yeah, A+ for the Lakers.
A+
for sure.
across the board. A+ across the board. Not to make this a micro note, but we have a trade that happened last night. De'Aaron Fox to the San Antonio Spurs, Zach LaVine to the Sacramento Kings, and the Bulls gets a bunch of role players, role guys to contribute. I know Bulls fans are really pissed off about this right now, but they got to keep their pick.
Yeah.
So I think they're okay a little bit. What does this do for the San Antonio Spurs, Steve?
It starts to accelerate this rebuild, this fast track. We got Wemby. We now have De'Aaron Fox. We didn't have to give anyone else up. We get to keep Keldon Johnson. We get to keep Devin Vassell. We get to keep a lot of these draft picks. So whenever it's time to make the next move, we're well equipped to do so. But you add talent to the room with what De'Aaron Fox can do, the way that his scoring ability is improved. I mean, being able to stop and pop whenever he wants, understanding the space, reading the defense, getting downhill. You put that next to Wemby and pick and roll, that's not really a lot of fun to deal with. And now I think fourth quarter close games, you got De'Aaron Fox you got to deal with, you got Wemby you got to deal with. So it just puts them in a different stratosphere as far as, okay, we're making a push for this, which I think you had to get to at some point. You build up, you get a generational talent. Not everyone gets one. You get pieces around it. Eventually, you got to cash it in for somebody. And so you get De'Aaron Fox, you keep building. I think that puts them in a different realm. I think Sacramento, they weren't just going to stop doing things. You know what I mean? Yeah. They just got to the light the beam era. We had to leave here with something.
Yeah.
And so
Vivek loves names. That's what it is. We're just being honest, man. He gonna trade for whoever there. It reminds me of that New York Knicks era when they got T-Mac and they got the Steve Francis, and it was just like, I don't care if you year 10. I don't care if you ain't made an All-Star in 2 years. We want you, man.
So yeah, I'm excited to see LaVine in handoff with Sabonis. It's kind of funny. The Kings ended up trading both of those guards. It's also kind of funny. The Kings reunited the Bulls backcourt to a degree.
And also Malik Monk is their new point guard.
They got buckets. They got buckets and Sabonis. And I don't think people have respected what Domantas Sabonis has done this year. But I'm leaving it.
DeMar and Sabonis have been good together. Mike, what do you think about this deal?
Oh, I think my brain is warped that I just want to see Wemby doing good stuff, right? I'm like, oh, good, let's get Wemby more stuff. So that's why I was most excited about it. And like, to echo what Steve said, I love that they're like, we need to make a push now, but also did not push nearly, not even like a third of their chips in. If you had told me last week that they got De'Aaron Fox without moving one of like Keldon, Sohan, Vassell, or Castle, I would have been like, no way. So I think that's great for them. Sacramento, I think this is the danger of creating something like the beam. I think when you create something that is tied so closely to a win, and you have 1 year where it pops off like that, and now it's like, man, we're not lighting the beam nearly as much as we used to. I think is tough. So I kind of feel for Sacramento. They'll be a fun league pass team. Well, I think we'll start seeing it'll be like the Pacers from last year, right? Where it's like 140 to 138. I think we're going to see a lot of high scoring stuff. And if you thought Sabonis's numbers were good the first half of the year, I bet that's even going to get crazier the second half of the year. So I guess from a entertainment standpoint, that's good for the Kings. And then the Bulls, welcome back to the lottery, baby. Let's get them in there. Let's get them a good pick. I know that Chicago fans might be a little bummed out, but I think it was important to get their pick back this year.
Hey, didn't everyone say Chicago need to tear this thing apart for the last 2 years?
Yes.
This is the teardown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It ain't always pretty.
No, you can't be mad at it.
Again, being a general manager is a hard job. Arturas, he got praised when he first got hired, and now they want to pack his bags for him, man. It is what it is. The game is the game, man.
Do you think they keep moving some pieces here? I know we have.
Kobe White is potentially going to be moved. I know Orlando's interested. We'll talk about my Orlando Magic at the end of the show, but that is a thing. You know what I mean? Because Jalen Suggs, is back. He's been dealing with some nagging injuries, and having a security blanket, it ain't too bad. But Kobe White does shoot the blood out the ball, so I don't know if it's enough to go around in Orlando. So that's a whole nother conversation in itself. More shout outs. DeJounte Murray tears his Achilles. Unfortunate, he originally, tore his ACL early in his career, and now he has to deal with that. It's unfortunate loss, but New Orleans is dealing with some bad juju out there. Where does Jimmy Butler end up? Do we believe that he gets moved? Steve, do you think he gets moved before the deadline?
I do think he gets traded.
Okay.
I think he gets traded, especially with that domino falling.
Mm-hmm.
I think that increases the phone calls, the need, the desire. The market has to kind of rise up to a degree. So if I see Luka on the move, I see De'Aaron Fox on the move, somebody might want to jump.
Yeah.
And
No,
so
for sure.
I think that's probably going to be the deciding factor. Now, it's very funny that every time it looks like we get close to a deal, Jimmy Butler says, actually, I don't want to play there. So it's clear he wants to play in Phoenix to a degree. I don't know if that happens unless they get like a 4 or 5 team trade, but I think Jimmy Butler's out of there.
Do you think he saw what Fox did where he basically was like, I'm only going to San Antonio? And he's like, I guess I have to be more transparent. I am only going to Phoenix. Because I think it's so funny too, that every time I was like, oh wow, maybe Golden State really is going to make a move. And then Jimmy immediately was like, hey guys, chill out. I'm not going to Golden State. Why would you do that?
I mean, he ain't trying to lose that money, man. You know how much it costs to live in the Bay? Crazy. You know what I mean? It'd be funny if he opt in. You know what I mean? He stay and he opt in. Now they just stuck with a whole nother situation. I don't know. I don't think they move him, man. I don't think it's gonna be successful, man. He's a headache, bro, at this point, because KG made a great point too, man. He's gonna mess it up for the non-guarantee. He's gonna, they work really hard to get non-guaranteed contracts, and now if you're completing stuff like this where you're voluntarily now being a distraction to the team, I don't know. I think the ownership shifts back power, man. I know we're a players-led league right now at this moment, but it can kind of shift something in a negative way.
Well, you notice how Miami every time is having a reason for what they're doing to cover their trails.
Oh, for sure.
So it's interesting. It's like, all right, man, come back. Oh, wait, you did this. This is exactly what happened. Suspended.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, I mean, I get it. Tyler Herro being an all-star too helps them too, because it's not like they're like losing really bad. I mean, it kind of stunts his growth if Jimmy stays.
He's been fun. He's been really good. And also it's helped Kevin Love kick off his new stand-up career, which apparently is going to be taken off when his time with the Heat is done. He's living his life on social media. He's like anytime, and he's quick with it. It's almost like he knew before the tweet went out. He's got a clip for everything. So whether it's Kevin Love or someone managing his social media account, bravo stuff from K-Love.
Any trades you would like to see?
Ooh, I think I want to see Vucevic get moved. I don't know where he lands, but I want to see Vucevic.
He might end up in LA on some weird shit.
You never know these days. I don't. You never know anything. Brandon Ingram, I would like to see him get moved. I think that would be interesting. I think that's really about it for me. The Jimmy domino. I wonder if the Bucks do something.
Yeah,
they've been quiet, man. They've been quiet, and with Middleton, I don't know. I hate to trade players when they deal with injuries or get older, but you got to go about that. Somebody in the chat said move Zion. I would like that. Cam Johnson's been mentioned a lot. I'm not sure who's going to actually land him.
Yeah, I saw Mike in the chat too. I love the idea of Detroit doing something that isn't massive, but it's just like let's add another little piece, and like somebody like CJ going to the Pistons, I think would be kind of fun. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like wishing Detroit a playoff run. But I like the idea of making some move around the edges. I think would be fun.
Man, get CJ where I told him to go, man. Get him in Dallas, bro. let him cook in Dallas, man, because he also could play some point too.
Well, it's because you planted your flag on that Luka trade, so you need them to make one more move.
You know what I mean? Because it just turned up a little bit. CJ's playing well. Yeah, 50 ball this year, and he's going crazy. So hey, if we miss buckets, we can go get it for a cheap price. You know what I'm saying? Not calling him discount Luka, but you know what it means. We care about the buckets, man. All right, we're moving on to our topic because producers telling us we've been spending a little bit too long. So we're moving on to teams of the week. The Portland Trailblazers are on a 3-game win streak, including a huge win over the Phoenix Suns. The Blazers are 6-1 in their last 7. And that's ever since Chauncey Billups has moved Shaedon Sharpe out of the lineup. Steve, how do you feel about the Portland Trailblazers? I know they don't got we don't have a lot of positive talk in the media about the Blazers. So we are one of the rare shows that show love to the unsung heroes.
There we go. I think for me with Portland, I've always been intrigued because they got talent. They got pieces. They got things that I think should go together. And every time I start to think they're doing the basketball thing, then they start losing again. I'm like, wait, where is it? Y'all just had it. But then I think Denny Obvious playing well. Jeremy Grant pops out of nowhere. Kamara's defense has been really strong. You still got Anthony Simons. He's a bucket. Shaedon Sharpe trying to get used to that bench role. I'm intrigued to see what that does. Does that unlock him? But I think Scoot Henderson has been pretty good this year, under the radar, as far as having a better feel, having better pace.
I think him struggling helped him so much because it took the intention off and allowed him to work in the darkness. You know what I'm saying? Like to a point where it was like, oh, he's a bust, he's trash, and it's like he got to go through the growing pains of being a pro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know going, as high as he did in the draft, the expectations are there, but like he is really, 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 really hooping quietly. Pujetter's working with him. Chauncey Billups is giving his guidance and the coaching staff over there. And then, Kamara, you can go down the line. They have so many bright spots. And they also got trade pieces.
Yeah.
If they actually want to get in the mix, you know what I'm saying? Especially on the front court side. You got the Aidens, you got the Time Lords. They're just kind of hoarding guys over there. You know what I mean? So it's interesting, but at least it's good to have some positive Portland Trailblazers talk.
Yeah, Scoot's been moving confidently too. Like he looks confident out there right now. They've been another fun league pass team. I do wonder, do you think Time Lord is he somebody by Thursday? I know him and Ime Udoka were having conversations the last time Portland and Houston played. I feel like I don't know. That could be an interesting one to take a little pressure off of Steven Adams there playing the backup 5 for Houston.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, he could fit anywhere, but I just wonder what would Portland want back and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, no, they're gonna want something back for sure. We're not giving them away for free, and we know what we got.
Yeah.
Memphis Grizzlies, 2nd in the West, 8-2 in their last 10. Big win against Milwaukee. I'm looking at this scenario of like, they're not talked about enough. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been great this year, earned his All-Star appearance. Ja has been dealing with little injuries here and there. Like, I don't know. It's just, you go from there and Gigi Jackson, it's a positive moving in that direction. And it's like, do we take them serious, or is this just a thing like the Cleveland Cavaliers, how they were rolling early on?
I think what's so impressive. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
No, go ahead, Mike.
No, I think what's so impressive about Memphis is if you had told like 6 months ago, you were like, oh, Memphis is actually the 2 seed. You're like, oh, they must have run pure with health, right? And it's like, no, man, they just got Gigi back. Ja's been playing like every 3rd game. Bane missed a bunch of time at the beginning of the season. Marcus Smart is still on the team. I feel like we haven't seen him play at all. They just have the deepest bench. I mean, no one can win 6th man of the year on that team because they got like 9 of them. Like, Ja misses time. Luke Kennard leading the league in 3-point shooting. Scottie Pippen Jr. I had like a double-double last night, I think, in that game against Memphis. Jaren Jackson Jr.'s left hand all of a sudden has turned into like the hand of God. Like he's just not afraid of anybody attacking Giannis time and time again last night, while also knocking down a bunch of threes. I am taking them seriously. I think they are tough. Taylor Jenkins, I think, does a really good job with them. I mean, I don't know. OKC is such a buzzsaw. Like it's hard to take anybody against them, but I think they're like a fun matchup, man. I really am. I'm fully in on the Grizz.
I think they've done everything they're supposed to do. Jaren Jackson Jr. is looking to hit first at all times, and when he's aggressive, back you down from the perimeter, drive. Like he's looking to score, which I think helps. The other part is this Memphis group. You mentioned the depth. They all understand what they're supposed to do. The spacing, the cutting, the movement. They have built something that works for everyone. They got a better flow in the half court. Still got some questions in the playoffs if a team's able to slow down, find a Jaren matchup, slow Bane down. But you got his movement, and then you have Ja who can drive and create and get force help in different ways. And then defensively, they get after it. That's the fun part about Memphis. I think for me, Tough part is the Western Conference. So you have this type of season. You go look at who's in the play-in. That's not going to be a fun team to face in the first round. No. So that's where it gets tricky. But I think Memphis deserves for people to understand and respect what they've done, because that ball moves. They're a fun team to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving right along to next man up. We have Aaron Wiggins had a career night. 41 points, 14 rebounds versus the Kings. Just letting it fly, man. And it's crazy. You talk about how deep these benches are. OKC, man. They ran like a college team, but they like got a guy if they need him to show up. And who would think Aaron Wiggins would go off of 41 points? Like, I'm just kind of like just blown away by it. But I understand and I respect the talent of NBA players across the board. It's any given night. If your number's called, you can go out and do your thing. But still, man, like, what?
Find yourselves a team that likes you like OKC likes each other. That was the best part about that Wiggins experience, was their team was like losing their mind. The bench was losing their mind, singing his praises after. That was OKC. It's just unfair what they're doing. they just it's a different guy every night. They're so deep.
I was just saying, I always love watching someone have one of those nights where tonight there's nothing you can do with me. And everything is going down, and now I realize it. So that was fun.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And now the gambling odds is going to be up there. You know what I mean? Like, now they're taking the over and thinking that he's going to get opportunities. Somebody saying like, "Oh, I'm going to start taking the over on this guy because he's like not understanding who was hurt or who missed, right. Opportunity that he gets." You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of crazy. Tumani Kamara, all defensive campaign, locking up over there. See, that's the thing. I want Hoop Sense to be the proud sponsor of defense. We love defense over here. It's not promoted enough, man. When you really think about the real guys that defend on the island, we support it so much. Like, we praise defense over here, man.
Trey's trying to make me like this Luka trade. I think that's what's happening.
I'm just saying, man. Overall, that's our brand name over here, man. Like, defense. When did defense become negotiable?
Wow.
Ooh.
You get what I'm saying? I understand where you say, all right, Steph Curry don't have to guard the opposing point guard because Klay Thompson's going to take that. Michael Jordan doesn't have to guard the opposing shooting guard because Scottie Pippen's going to take that. I get it. But when did it become non-negotiable, like basically not non-negotiable, negotiable, where it says he drops 40, so why should he have to play defense or show some effort of stopping a guy? What happened to pride?
I always think defense is like a team thing too. I mean, yes, there is like individual defending, but I feel like a whole team has to be bought in for defense to be legit. Back to like Fox, that's kind of why I'm interested to see Fox on the Spurs, because I think he kind of gets unfairly labeled as like a so-so defender, and I think his ceiling as a defender changes. Like, hey, guess what? You got Wemby behind you, man. So like when you're gambling a little bit more, it's not as high variance because it's Wemby, not Sabonis behind you. So I don't know. I always think of that like that. I think like DeJounte Murray, another interesting case where like with San Antonio, known as this lockdown defender, but that whole team defended. And then you go to Atlanta, not really known for its defense. And all of a sudden we're like, what happened to DeJounte's defense? I feel like it's almost a team culture thing, not to make excuses.
We're also yelling the praise of Dyson Daniels. You know what I mean? Right. Like,
true.
And his competitors, opponents, and all that have been shouting his praise as well. Like, he is a wet blanket. You do not want him to guard you, bro. He is aggressive. And I thought it was interesting because I got to see him guard Jalen Brunson on MLK. And Jalen Brunson was trolling him and calling him a hack. But, like, he earns his living that way. So, I mean, we gotta start praising the defenders, man, so people can respect it and put some more respect on the game that we love. Moving right along, Ty Jerome, 18.7 points per game, 3.8 assists, 1.3 steals per game in the last 7. Like, Ty Jerome, I remember he was out the league. I remember he was scared to shoot in Phoenix when I was covering the Suns. What is happening? Why is Ty Jerome locked in and ready? Obviously working out with Chris Brickley, but what else?
It's that Cleveland system. It's Kenny Atkinson. It's that belief, man. I remember preseason, Kenny Atkinson was like, no, I think this team has a lot of depth. I was like, oh, he believes in all of them. And so Ty Jerome came out running. And he said, "Oh yeah, I can do this. That's fine. I saw what Sam Merrill did last year. I can do this." And he got the belief, he got the buy-in, he got the success. I guess I got a question: would 6th man of the year or still Peyton Pritchard?
I'll listen. I'm a Celtics fan, and I've still been like, I don't know. I feel like the Peyton Pritchard thing was really hot in October, November, December. It's like temperatures come down a little bit. I mean, he's still obviously so important. I'll listen to some Ty Jerome. I was trying to bang the Santi Aldama drum for a little bit, but again, they got too many dudes. Memphis has too many dudes. I like Ty Jerome though.
Yeah, I mean these are the names that we're probably actually putting fans on because they just don't get a chance to watch these games and actually tap in. But I hope that they're actually locked in.
I forget what game that was. Where Ty, like 2 weeks ago, right? Didn't Ty go like 8 for 8 from 3 or something like that?
Yeah, he was cooking, man. He was cooking. Shout outs to Dilly, Rob Dillingham, 19 on 8-11 shooting, had 8 assists. Let Rob cook. That is the campaign that is going around in Minnesota. You know what I mean? Hashtag let Rob cook. I really love that Anthony Edwards is hyping him up and kind of praising that. But he also hyped up Joe Ingles checking in the game late. You know what I mean? So he's consistent with his being a hype man for his teammates. But Dillingham, that's the reason why they traded for him in the draft. That's the reason why they got him there to potentially come in and be explosive. Like I said, if my comp was Lou Williams, it probably could be something else, but that dude can score with the best of them despite his height.
They were desperate for that too, right? With Dante going down, like they just needed some sort of offensive input off the bench. I mean, that's fun. That's good too, because I know there's some Timberwolves fans being like, why can't he get on the court early on in the season? And he's coming along nice.
Want to shout out Khalil Ware, 18.6 points per game, 9 rebounds, 1.2 steals, 1.8 blocks in his last 5. I mean, he sat for a while, finally got off the bench.
I do some fantasy content on the fantasy basketball content on the side. And this offseason, I was talking myself into Khalil Ware like aggressively. And then he didn't get on the court for the first couple months. And people were like, hey, remember that Khalil Ware take? And I was just praying. I was like, man, I wanted Spo to see what Bam did in the Olympics. Like Bam maybe could play a little bit of the 4. And then now we're starting to see it. Now we're seeing it, I think, because of some injury stuff and Jimmy not playing anymore. But yeah, he's fun, man. He's a like, listen.
Yeah, Miami, Mike, take your victory lap, Mike.
Yeah, let's go. Khalil Ware buckets, baby. Miami might not win a ton of games, but they will be fun to watch right now with Khalil Ware and Hero. It's a different Miami team.
Hey, keep an eye on that defense because he's starting to figure some things out when it comes to playing drop and containing penetration and rotations. Like the better he gets, him and Bam defensively, gets fun.
Yeah.
Minor shout, Gigi Jackson returns to the Grizz. We just mentioned we talked a little bit about them. So happy to have him back. Great energy.
Did you see the block on Giannis?
Oh my God. I love when announcers are confused and there was almost like a moment of silence when that happened. Just to be like, did Giannis just get blocked at the rim?
Yeah.
Well, no, we didn't see that Giannis animation so many times. He started to stretch out. I'm like, all right, cool, Giannis. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Huh? Where'd the ball go?
Yeah. He's for real, man. Put some respect on Gigi Jackson. Welcome back. I'm definitely gonna be tuned in. Hopefully, he can definitely push them over. And I think that's an interesting thing too, because I mean, again, we're talking about them being a 2 seed and seeing a playing team, but again, getting a guy like that, having a potential healthy Ja. I mean, sky's the limit on them. And they're not, like I said, they're not being shouted out a lot. They're getting looked over. It's the Mavs and the Thunder being talked about now in this past couple of days of teams to compete. And then obviously Denver because of Jokic. You got to put some respect on Jokic every year. Moving right along to the hot hand. Trey Murphy III. I'm so glad. I mean, look, New Orleans season has not been the bright spot. They've dealt with tons of injuries, and I'm so glad that Trey Murphy was not boxed in. 32 on 13 for 17 shooting, and then 40 on 15 to 20 shooting. This 22-year-old is averaging 22.1 points per game on 61.5 true shooting.
Yeah,
like, dude, I didn't expect it. But that's a blessing in disguise between him and CJ McCollum scoring like the way they have been during this season. And yeah, I mean, if they decide to move Ingram, Zion, CJ, however they go about it, That's the bright spot right there.
Yeah. You know what, too? Like, I feel like a lot of times I assume, oh, Trey went off tonight. It must have been because Zion sat or DeJounte didn't play, CJ didn't play. Nah, he's like getting buckets anyways. The New Orleans team, I think if you play this out 100 times in a simulation, we got like the lowest version of it ever, right? Like the most unluckiest run. They just have crazy talent. And are deep too. They're like deep, but they just can't get anybody on the court at the same time.
I think Trey being the bright spot is the line right there, and it's not just the buckets. He's aggressive. The drives have been strong. Like you've seen him really start to figure that part of it out. He's always been a bucket, but I think he knows it a lot more now.
And a solid podcast game too. Like he does okay on the mic.
Yeah, he is. Jalen Green, 25.7. It was a Jalen January. The Rockets were 11-4 during that month. And I know he had a sit-down interview with Taylor Rooks talking about, what he learned from Ime Udoka benching him in those fourth quarters last season and how it's been effective. And then obviously we love Amen Thompson on this pod. We praise him. We shout him out. And I think it's an iron sharpen iron thing in practice. Those two getting to go at each other. And Jalen Green's just taking his game to a whole nother level. Shouts to we want more Aaron Wiggins talk. Shouts to you know what I mean? But just like for real, like, you know what I mean? Jalen Green maturing, he's understanding his role on this team, and that's hats off to Ime Udoka, you know what I mean? And then also those vets and just getting guys to buy into the system. It looked like it was a tough situation, especially Jalen potentially probably thinking about a contract. And now he got the contract done, and now he can recalibrate and do those things. But the Rockets are a fun young team. I mean, I don't know if I want to really put my money up against, actually just competing in a series against, a veteran team, but they will be a team to worry about in the next 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Give guards time. Go ahead, Mike.
No. Keep going.
No. Just give guards time to figure it out. We get so used to how many good guards there are out there.
Yes.
Let them play. Let them get the reps. And once they get it, you can see what happens. Jalen Green having a big January.
Yeah. And just think about how we were like talking about that contract extension, a while back. And now how both Green and Şengün have performed this year. It's just completely like Jalen Green's development and Amen Thompson, obviously, it's just completely changed the ceiling of this Houston Rockets team. Like no one's going to be thrilled to play them in a 7-game series the way they defend.
Moving right along to our 30-second timeout segment. 30-second timeout is where we don't bash, we help. You know what I mean? So in this particular situation, the Atlanta Hawks had a brutal injury run. Losers of 8 in a row now. Jalen Johnson out for the year. And they do not control their first-round pick. Mike, you want to elaborate a little bit more on this?
Well, I think we didn't really talk about them not controlling their first-round pick for a while, right? Because we're like, man, they finally figured it out. Mm-hmm. And I don't think this is them playing poorly or anything like that. I mean, this is just an unlucky run out. Like Jalen Johnson was a fringe all-star player this year. He had been so good. We had already give Dyson Daniels props. DeAndre Hunter? Like DeAndre Hunter was flirting in the 6th man of the year conversation for a little bit. And now, they've got bogey and trade rumors. Jalen Johnson shut down for the year. It's just, they started. If you want to be a bright spot, Onyeka Okongwu seems to be taking a little bit of a step up this season, which has been nice.
That's a big O.
But man, now that the conversation is back to like, well, at least they get their first round. Oh no, they don't have their first round pick. It's a tough scene for Atlanta. I feel bad. It felt like.
And Trey Young not being a all-star. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that was kind of like the open wound right there. Like, at least we could have said we got an all-star. I don't think he's too happy about that. And, that's a whole nother podcast in itself of talking about what's going on with that situation because the numbers are good. I think that he, should have been an all-star, but also, he's missing out on a lot of big moments, whether it's the Olympics and the All-Star game. So
it's true.
It's interesting. Player of the game. Oh, go ahead.
No. I thought we were going to Trey's Magic Minute because I said you also know who maybe needs a 30-second timeout.
Hey, we're gonna get there. I'm not. Hey, we listen and we don't judge. All right. Our players of the game: Pascal Siakam, 20.5 points per game, 7.3 rebounds per game. This is his 6th straight season averaging 20+ points per game and 7+ rebounds. when his name was announced as a reserve, I can't lie, I was like, man, but I'm not gonna lie, I was like, why is he there? And then I had to go back and review the tape. You know what I mean? I can't say, because Indiana Pacers was in our 30-second timeout for a while, so I took him out my rotation of my league pass, and then I'll start, tapping back in. Siakam's been hooping. He deserves.
Well, you even called it out, Trey, when we were doing the 30-second timeout. You were like, "Are they having an identity crisis? Like, who's
their guy?
Who's their guy?" And now not only is Spicy P been stepping up a little bit, they defend now. I'm used to the Pacers being a team that, like we were talking about with the Kings, that have to score 130 to get a W, and now they're defending. They're a feisty team for the second half of the year. Also, can we stop putting Miles Turner in trade rumors? Can we stop doing that?
He's been going to the Lakers since I was in my 30s.
Yeah,
I'm 40 now.
Let's leave him there.
I'm just being honest, man. And lastly, we got to shout out your boy Jason Tatum, 2-way J, 35 points, 13 on 20 field goals, 11 assists, 7 rebounds, and game-winning shot over my guy CJ McCollum. That hurt because we was clowning him in the group chat. But ever since Brandon Jennings has challenged him, I would say challenged him, to a point that he's soft and these things of whatnot. What are we saying right now? Can Jason Tatum be the number 1 player in the NBA? What is stopping him? I mean, we're punishing him for having a good team.
Yeah, I don't think I can say I love him. I do. He's one of my favorite players. Man, every time I watch Jokic, though, I see like 4 new things I've never seen before in my life. So it's hard for me to put him on that level. Celtics are an interesting team right now, though, with how they're playing. I feel like they're playing to the team that they're playing night in and night out. So I would like to, hopefully see a little bit more. It's hard to say I want to see more consistency for a team that is doing great. But, like even that game with the Sixers last night, they kind of they don't always have the pedal down. This is supposed to be talking Tatum up, and now I'm like bad mouthing the Celtics. So
I got you, Mike. Tatum's an MVP candidate. He's dealing with some aliens box score wise, but I think if you watch Jason Tatum and you understand how he affects the team, the matchups he attacks, the playmaking, the drives, quick decisions, and then what he does defensively, because a whole lot of times it's like, hey, Porzingis, guard this wing, Tatum, guard the center. You switch. Now he's making those kind of plays. Once you see what Tatum does to elevate that team, you can't unsee it. But if I throw Giannis and Jokic at you, it's going to look different. So it's it's a tough time for him.
Yeah. Well, my favorite part of the show, Trey's Magic Minute. You know what I mean? I wish I could say some positive things about my Orlando Magic right now, man. We're 2-8 in our last 10. We're on a 3-game losing streak. Our guys are banged up. We got Paolo back. We got Franz back. The trade deadline is approaching in a week or so, probably a little bit more days than that. But I really want to see us get some help. And what I mean by that, maybe a buyout Chris Paul or a Kobe White. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking of something like that. You know what I mean? I know they've been, a lot of teams have been trying to steal Goga from us. You know what I mean? But like, at the end of the day, I just want my team to be healthy. And I'm going to say a little magic prayer, no pun. And then we going to be healthy and we going to compete. And still, we 8th. We in the 8th seed right now. And hopefully we can make a positive direction post All-Star.
Yeah, you also ran into like 2 legendary poor performance shooting nights from Paolo. That's not going to happen again. But yeah, I'll be interested to see if you guys make a move. I think that would. Kobe White makes a ton of sense. Just another creator who can get buckets.
Hey man, the Magic and the Bulls love doing business together.
Shout out Wendell Carter.
Are the Magic below the Pistons right now?
Yeah,
sure are.
Yeah,
sure are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
it's a sad ending to the Magic Minute. Just going, y'all
just out here y'all just dunking on my team now. I thought this was supposed to be positive. We go, but again, thank you, Steve, for joining us, man. This has been a great show. Thank you all for tuning in live. Like, subscribe, rate, review, all those things on the Count the Dings YouTube channel. Support all our other channels on Count the Dings Network, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.